Welcome back to a brand new salad spinner made out of venison meat with a handle out of mahogany wood. I am your host, and I'm #blessed, and I wanted to go over something interesting that I have been kind of learning in these past few months of quarantine, which has been absolutely ridiculous, and honestly it hasn't affected me much because I work in an essential job. I'm so essential. And I wanted to ask your opinions on it, being the viewers, and what you think. The Messianic order and the rabbinical order. And a lot of people don't know this, but the rabbinical order is as new as the Messianic order. You talk to a rabbi and they might disagree with you on that. But we're going to go over some key details here, and maybe we can create some bigger dialogue because of it. The Bible actually makes a reference to the rabbinic order of Judaism. And it's interesting. There's a couple of verses in the Bible, in the New Testament, that make references to certain things that have actually happened that the rabbis picked up that actually came from the Messianic movement, which is, you don't believe me, I'm telling you the God's honest truth here. If you are a Christian, you're a Messianic. Because the fact of the matter is that you can put the label on it all you want. Peter, Paul, Luke, these people were not Christian, okay? They were called Christian because Christian was a derogatory term for the people who were followers of Christ. They were Jews. They observed the high holy days. They rested on Shabbat. They ate kosher. Even Peter, up until the point that he was going to eat with the Roman soldier, God gave him the vision. He ate kosher. So we need to understand, as followers of Christ, regardless if you are a Messianic Jew or if you are a Christian, you are from the same stock. Okay? One isn't greater than the other because it's the same deal. But we need to understand where the roots came from. With that said, let's look at the rabbinic order, and let's look at what happened pre-crucifixion of Jesus. Now, the crucifixion, when it took place around 33 AD, we didn't have rabbis. There were not rabbis, okay? Jesus, Yeshua, was the only rabbi. He's the only rabbi. Believe it or not, he's the only rabbi. That was a term specifically used for Jesus. This is a huge deal, right? Because the rabbinic order started using the name rabbi, and then eventually they totally phased Jesus out. At first, they believed in Jesus. There's a verse in the Bible, and I will put it down here or up here, wherever, that talks about the Judaizers that would follow behind Paul. Those Judaizers were telling people that you needed to convert to Judaism, convert to become a believer in Yeshua. And they were telling people they need to be circumcised and all this other stuff. This is why this is absurd, okay? If you were to be a white man or woman, and you were to say that you were converting to African, anybody with half a brain would say, you're kidding, right? Obviously you're kidding, because that doesn't even make sense. That's the situation with the rabbinic order, right? Because it was a culture, it was an ethnicity, not a religion. Judaism has never been a religion. Up until the moment that Jesus died, you were either Jewish or you were not Jewish. You don't convert to Judaism, okay? Even the people who were half Jewish, they were Sumerians. They were looked at as if they were, pardon my French, but bastards. They lived in Samaria. Man, that corona. It's just killing me. They lived in Samaria. So the fact was is they couldn't say, well, we're going to convert to being full Jewish. That wasn't the case, okay? They were half-breeds, all right? The people who followed behind Paul were called Judaizers because they were trying to convert Gentiles to Jews. What we don't understand here is, one, Jesus didn't come for a religion. He came to break religion. Jesus didn't come for that. That's ridiculous. He came to break religion. Religion comes with all of these rules and all of these laws and all this crazy stuff. That's what led the Jewish people into the bondage that they were in by the time that Jesus showed up, right? Over 600 laws. They couldn't cut their sideburns, couldn't eat certain foods. You had to wear tzitzit all the time. You had all of these things that were against you as a believer. And if you broke any of these laws, then you were pretty much up, Poops Creek. The fact is that it was never meant to be a religion. Okay? It was never meant to be a religion. It was about a relationship. And that is what I think, for the most part, outside of like the Catholic Church, that most Christians understand, is it is about a relationship and the breaking away from the Jewish traditions is kind of the launch pad to understand that when Paul was saying that these people don't have to convert to nothing. They are Gentile. They were born Gentile. They will die Gentile. But they are believers in Yeshua, that they are believers in Jesus, that nothing has to change. That's kind of why we've broken away, or the Christian church has broken away from the Jewish movement. But at the same time, understanding that this concept of the Jewish movement having to force its way onto pagan non-believers, I guess, and converting them to Judaism, it doesn't make any sense. This is why, yes, the children of Abraham are circumcised, because they are of the line of Abraham, okay? This is a bloodline thing, and it has nothing to do with a religion. You can't just convert to Judaism. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for that, but please hear me out here, okay? The rabbinic order started after Jesus died, okay? Before that, they had Pharisee and Sadducee, okay? And the Pharisee and that order were completely different Jews. They were Torah-observant Jews. They were biologically Jewish people. They all fell out of one of those 12 tribes and biologically all came from the same person, or the same two people, Abraham and Sarah, or Sarai. So the fact of the matter is, with all of this craziness aside, the rabbinic order has kept traditions, and this is what's crazy. They've kept traditions that were started by Jesus, or started by Yeshua. We see that the holy day of Pesach, or Passover. Passover goes through all of this stuff, right? And it is verbatim breaking down the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what Passover is. Going from looking at what the Jewish people went through, or the Hebrew people went through in the hands of Pharaoh, all the way to the crucifixion and resurrection. And how I know that that's true, if you look at a Messianic Haggadah, which is the book that they use for the Passover Seder, it breaks it down even more. Nothing's changed, other than that they use Christian terminology or Messianic terminology to acknowledge Messiah, Mashiach, in place of just leaving it as an escape from Egypt thing, right? You have a thing called the afikomen. The afikomen is a piece of matzah which is broken in half, okay? And then the best part of that matzah is buried. Okay? It is wrapped in a linen, and it is put under what they call the stone, a pillow or whatever. It's called a stone, right? And then when you go to get it back, if you've done this right and the kids know what they're doing, they are supposed to steal the afikomen and hide it. Okay? So when they go back to the afikomen, it's gone. Right? The body is gone. The afikomen is gone. And then you pay a ransom for the afikomen to come back. Okay? And then you save that as the best part of the Seder meal. Okay? And you're supposed to save it for next Passover, where you get another one and you do this all over again. If you look at the traditions, all right, and even after they use the lamb shank bone for this process, the shank bone is there because you're not allowed to cook, or you're not supposed to eat lamb on the Passover, because before that, before the crucifixion of Jesus, before the destruction of the temple, there were sacrifices, and you would have to eat that lamb. But since the temple's gone, there's no more sacrifice. And also, the lamb bone that's on the plate signifies the Lamb of God. There's no more sacrifice because the lamb has already been slain. You don't do sacrifices anymore. The rabbinic order, originally, documents have proven this, it believed in Yeshua, and eventually they fell away from the belief system of Yeshua, or of Jesus, and they started teaching Jewish history through the Talmud, the Zohar, the Kabbalah, and all of this other stuff. They started teaching that instead of Torah. And when people go to the yeshiva so that they can debate, and they can do all the things that they are doing throughout the week, and they can talk, and they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. When they go and you say to them, okay, well, let's talk Torah, let's talk Tanakh, they're going to pull out the other rabbinic documentation. And a lot of people don't pull out the Torah when they're actually doing this kind of debating. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? If you are a Jewish person and you're observant and you go to the yeshiva and you do this kind of studying and you talk about Torah, that's wonderful, But the fact is that there is so much history behind this, that when the temple fell and when the Jewish people were scattered throughout the world, something remarkable happened. The Jewish people split. And we need to understand that without the Messianic believers, that we wouldn't have the rabbinic order either. So with that said, I'm going to end this video. If you guys like what you were saying, we can go into more detail. I'm happy to do that. References, I am referencing a podcast that I've been listening to from One for Israel called Pod for Israel, which you can go and look up, and they talk about the rabbinic order and the Messianic order, and it's very, very interesting stuff. So check it out. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, leave a comment. All of that stuff is going to help us to grow this ministry. I really want to get this off the ground. I have less than 400 subscribers. I've had for a year now, but I haven't been as attentive with posting videos. I want to be. Okay, I want to post more. I want to get us moving so that we can get something going for everybody. Anyway, thank you guys for washing. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate you watching as well. But thank you for watching. And please come back. Subscribe. All that. Thank you guys. Have a super fantastic blessed night.